So people's reputation is how they gain in comedy. And one of the buzzwords you probably hear a lot more in 2010, I think, is curating, because people, they go to Google, and I'm sure all the nerds at Google are constantly fighting this, but when you go there to look for global warming information, it's the same thing when you go look for real estate, or there's just people trying to game the system constantly. And I have to believe that the Google guys or gals are working hard to fix that, but ultimately it comes down to sources of authority who are there curating their blogs and their resources, trying to create authoritative sources of information. And two ways that you can do that today is first go look at your blog roll, if you have one, and make sure that those links are still active and go to the places you think to go to. And also have a blog roll with other places of like-minded information that's in that. And also become an editor on Wikipedia, and a place that you're knowledgeable in, or at least have some competency in, and help out there, because it's a great source of people's information these days, and you can make a difference very easily in that space.
Can I suggest also that, and obviously, you're communicating on your blogs, but communicating off your blogs, that is, if there's a story and you go into the comment section. I'm thinking of an incident that happened in the Roanoke Valley involving a censorship case, and the Dredge PZ sent his people over to a blog by a guy named Casey, Tom Casey, to comment on this attempt to censor the book. And I know from following the comments in Casey's blog that subsequently people followed the bread trails back to your blog. So by your, by your
plan.
I mean, you didn't directly, but by your establishing a presence in the comments, by proxy. By proxy, but still. But you're establishing a presence outside. It wasn't a science blog, it was just a garden variety, general interest blog, read by a lot of people with absolutely no explicit interest in science or in the issues that you're interested in. But they read the debate, they realized that this stuff was coming in from some place called Pharyngula, and then they ended up in Pharyngula, and then they subsequently started posting about it. Wow, okay. So coming off your blogs, when you have an opportunity, when you see a story, and you see the comments on the story, very often very ill-informed comments and repeating all kinds of misconceptions and stereotypes and superstitions and stuff like that. So if you establish a presence, and then maybe they follow you back. I mean, that's one way to reach out.
Plus newspaper comments.
Excuse me?
Just newspaper comments also, not just blog.
Yeah.
On the subject of civil debating, if for instance, for a little while, in fact, I'm still kind of doing this. Anybody here argue with people on Facebook polls sometimes? That will it may drive you to madness if you try it a little bit too much, and don't seek, at least maybe not to convince people, but just kind of see how people react to your thought processes. What you're typing. How you'll react to them. Because, you go on these polls, and there are people who would not actually be taken seriously by almost anybody. I mean, if one wants to have various levels of quackery, you might have people who are cohesive enough such that other people might actually stick to them. This sort of basic level of human presentation that most people want to accept. And then there are the people who are making so little sense. It's almost like a sandbox scenario. There isn't really anybody else taking them seriously, or just that one person who's arguing with them. And you have to do this again with in mind almost just entertainment as opposed to actual serious debate, because if you do, you may want to shoot yourself. So that's been my masochistic pastime. And sometimes it isn't even painful, but civil debate often drives things forward a little bit. Sometimes trying to.
And it was most of us.
Sorry.
I just had what are your thoughts on anonymity pseudonyms? Do they help or hurt trustworthiness in different situations? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
I think when you're modeling behaviors, they don't make a lot of difference. If you're trying to rely on authority, it depends. You're fighting some things that aren't really institutional. instincts, but are trained socially in terms of knowing who a person is can determine how close they are to you and whether it's a general interest that on a basis and that kind of thing. So it's really circumstantial.
I would say that it makes a lot more of a difference to the blogger than to the audience, because it may make a difference to, I mean, there's things you can't do if you're not anonymous. And it allows you to do things, and that may be important, and that allows us for certain, to voice certain bad things and so on. So there's a benefit to the blogger that shouldn't really make much difference to the readers, because people do establish real life personalities, and they're legitimate and valid. There are probably times when being anonymous and pseudonymous makes it so you can't do something. You can't say, hey, I'm the head of the NSF, therefore this thing I said about the NSF is really true, because you're anonymous. But that's probably pretty rare, and I think that there's a lot of people. I think that if you ask people, I think people are often even unaware of this. There's people are just out there with their names, and you don't even know if this person's anonymous or not. I don't think it's not there.
But if I'm interacting with somebody here, a consistent and showing up anonymity is more important to me than what's on the list. I really don't care what you do. But that you have a history on the internet, that you've had a thought that you expressed, that you've got an identity, and that's what I care about.
I'm the only non-blogger on this bill. But I have to say, just from my personal impression of this, I like it better when you use your names. I feel there's more of a sense of accountability and credibility.
That would be true, except some people, they use a pseudonym on the internet, and they're known by those. Like there's a guy named Thunderfoot who does YouTube videos. Right? Why do you just need care? Yes, Thunderfoot is a seal of approval. That's all I care about. He told me his name was John Brown. Yeah, who's that?
So our time is pretty much up. Henry, okay. Anybody, any last or you just wanted?
I was thinking really briefly about your comment about going off of your blogs and getting out places. Another really fun way to do that is YouTube video comments. Like something that I found really interesting. Somebody sent me a video clip that had been twisted by, it was of Mr. Wizard demonstrating water level with ice cubes being put into a glass of water versus ice cubes melting in a glass of water. So hence the ability to relate it to the ice caps melting and raising global ocean levels. And somebody had taken the video and basically added a description and a title that said, Mr. Wizard proves that climate scientists are lying to you. And they made this crazy title. And my friend watched it and was like, whoa, wait, is this really what's happening? And so I went and watched the video, and I was so enraged that that moment I turned on my webcam, because you can just go to video comments and you can record a comment response that's in video format, and I had a couple of hundred people watch that video within a couple of hours. So it was a really quick, easy way to comment and have my face to my words. Say this is who I am, and this person's twisting the science and not actually representing it correctly. So YouTube video comments, I think, are a great thing.